Climate change is the greatest environmental challenge facing the world today. Rise in temperature around the world is now an undisputed reality. Higher mean temperature of Earth's atmosphere means the local, regional, and global climate will no more be the same in the days ahead. Shifting seasonal characteristics have already alarmed scientists and general public alike, indicating climate change. Climate refers to the average weather experienced over a long period. This includes temperature, wind, and rainfall pattern. The climate of the Earth is not static and has changed many times in response to a variety of natural causes. The main human influence on global climate is likely to be emission of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and others. The Himalayas are the global treasure. The lofty Himalayas, which inspired civilizations, are now themselves facing the perils of climate change. Though poverty and resource degradation issues were already serious in the Himalayan region, climate change has further accelerated the seriousness of this region. Several recent scientific reports have shown that the temperature is rising in upper reaches of Himalayas at an alarming rate of 0.06 degrees Celsius each year, which is higher than the global average. This puts the already fragile mountain ecosystem and its marginalized communities at a greater risk. The impact of global warming on the Himalayas is not localized. It spreads far and wide, up to the sea and coastal region, affecting a vast number of ecosystems and millions of people. Although contribution of the people living in the Himalayan region to global warming is negligible, they are the early victims of its effect. Glaciers are nature's renewable storehouse of fresh water. Shrinking glaciers are one of the most sensitive indicators of global warming as they grow and shrink in response to changing temperature. As a result of global warming, thousands of glaciers, the life support machines for billions of people in the region, are facing the brunt of climate change impacts. There are several notable glaciers in the Nepal Himalayas. In the recent decades, glaciers are melting rapidly, changing landscapes and creating dangerous glacial lakes supported only by natural dams of gravel, sand, and ice. Nepal has the largest number of recorded active glaciers. 6 of them are reported to be on the verge of bursting. The Himalayan range encompasses about 15,000 glaciers, which store about 12,000 cubic kilometers of fresh water. Since Nepal is situated at the foothills of the Himalayas, it is endowed with abundant water resources from the availability point of view. Water is regarded as a key strategic natural resource having the potential to be the catalyst for all-round development and economic growth of the country. The rain-fed agriculture-based economy of Nepal depends on nature and favorable climate to sustain itself. There are several implications of climate change like severe drought, flash floods caused by high-intensity rainfalls, landslides, and debris flow. This has deluged rice fields that are food baskets for billions of people. Such hazards of climate change have imposed significant stress on the livelihoods of both upstream and downstream populaces. Therefore, climate change-induced impacts have jeopardized not only the marginalized community, but also the entire economy of the region. We do not have adequate information, knowledge, and resources to mitigate their impacts. Nor do the people know why the climate system has turned dysfunctional. This, however, does not make any difference on the plight of the people who are continuously being victimized. Similarly, the zonal vegetation belts and tree lines vary with altitudes and are likely to shift upwards with global warming. This has put several floral and faunal species at the risk of extinction. It has been recorded that the flowering and fruiting cycles of some of the plants have been changed. There is also a massive spread of invasive alien species and diseases, which can also be linked to climate change. Climate change has affected all aspects of sustainable development like human health, crop production, economic activities, natural resources, physical infrastructure, and the environment of the region. No one can imagine the prosperity and development of the region in the absence of the Himalayas. In the global climate change debate, Himalayan issues were shadowed by other issues. To draw the global attention on melting Himalayas, Nepal government organized a campaign to save the Himalayas on the eve of the United Nations Copenhagen Climate Summit COP15. The government of Nepal held the historic cabinet meeting at Kalapaththar at an altitude of 5,542 meters on the foothills of Mount Everest on December 4, 2009. The cabinet meeting, chaired by Right Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal Madhav Kumar Nepal, was organized to draw global attention on melting Himalayas due to climate change. It was recorded as the world's highest cabinet meeting. The meeting passed a 10-point Everest Declaration reinforcing Nepal's commitment to fight against the curses of climate change and protecting the environmental sanctity of the region. Nepal declared Gauri Shankar an Api Nampa conservation area to expand the coverage of protected areas from existing 20% to 25% and also to increase the forest area up to 40% of the total landmass in view of protecting the mountain ecosystem.
We have issued Sagarmatha Mount Everest Declaration about the climate change from the base camp of Mount Everest, that is Kalapaththar, which is 5,542 meter height. We have conducted our historic cabinet meeting of the Nepal government. So I would like to thank all those people who have assisted us, supported us, given us all sorts of help and support to make this event a grand success.
All the ministers, including Prime Minister Madhav Kumar Nepal, were proud in the sense that they were able to raise the voice of the Himalayas and the Himalayan people. The event was widely covered by media. As a continuation of this campaign, the government of Nepal organized a Summiteers Summit to save the Himalayas in Copenhagen. The summit was organized in the Danish capital to mark the International Mountain Day on December 11, 2009, as an accompanying event of UNFCCC. The summiteers of Himalayan peaks from Nepal and around the world, celebrities of international repute and larger global audience with a concern for global climate change gathered and marched together to highlight the challenges faced by the Himalayas. Besides summiteers, Nepali ministers and dignitaries, government and non-governmental officials, climate change activists and Nepali diaspora in Europe and Friends of Nepal participated in the demonstration. Lots of people in the Danish capital watched the demonstration with great interest as it marched through the streets of downtown Copenhagen for more than 2 hours.
Let us work to save the Himalayas so our children, their children, can climb them and cherish their majestic mountains as you are doing and you did.
The menace of climate change on the Himalayas will manifest far and wide in the form of drought, flood and sea level rise. As the sea rise, there is no refuge from climate change even at the highest altitudes.
Nepal, as one of the signatories to the Conference of the Parties, participated in the 15th Conference of Parties COP15 in Copenhagen from December 7th to the 18th, 2009. Nepal actively participated in the conference under the leadership of Prime Minister Madhav Kumar Nepal. The Prime Minister addressed the summit and urged the world's most carbon dioxide emitting nations to mitigate carbon dioxide emission and provide sustainable and long-term financial support to the vulnerable countries like Nepal to conserve the snow-capped mountains and green earth.
And protecting our environment and its resources from the negative impact of climate change are our new and additional challenge. Developed countries should commit for long-term and substantially scale up financial resources with special focus on the least developed countries in addition to the regular official development assistance.
Nepal undertook 2 mobile initiatives, the historic cabinet meeting at the Mount Everest Base Camp and the Summiteers Summit to save the Himalayas in Copenhagen to draw the attention of the international community to the climate change impacts in the Himalayas. However, these efforts were proved to be not enough to influence the global debate on climate change. The mountainous countries have to build an alliance with a shared vision and goal on how they could play an important role in addressing the climate change-induced challenges in the entire Himalayan region. It is expected that with more efforts from all the sectors, the Himalayan issues can be brought into international debate with high priority. Let's come together to save the Himalayas from the perils of climate change.